I'm Mishani Zanea. I'm the Advocacy and Communications Associate here at the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council, and today we're at Emerald City.
Hi, I'm Tahirah Walker, and I use she, her pronouns. I am an assistant professor at Point Park University and host of the Creative Hive. I also run a blog called blackbooklady.com, where it's all things Black literature, and particularly centering Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's what I like to hear.
I'm Camille Bailey. She, her pronouns, they, them, if you feel like it. I am the founder of the Cocopreneur Directory, co-founder of Greenwood Plan and Greenwood Week and Emerald City, executive director of the Greenwood Plan currently. And yeah, I think that's it.
And so I hear that both of you are from Jersey.
Yes.
Jersey.
So what brought you here?
Pitt brought me here.
Okay.
That's just the short end. Pitt brought me. Love made me stay.
Okay.
Love made me stay.
I love that. That's a great one-liner. Yeah. I came for a job. Interestingly, I was working in Haiti, and there's a person from here who had founded a hospital in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
I was working for the woman of that couple, and she said, "Oh, you want to do something else? Why don't you go to Pittsburgh and see how that works out?" So I came here. That was 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been like 18 years since I've been here. Time flies.
It just kind of moves, right?
Just keeps going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your first time at Emerald City.
It is.
What is your impression?
Yeah.
How's it
I love it here. I mean, it's one thing for you to love a space, right? Like, and I think, we were talking earlier about signs and,
Mm-hmm.
how the universe, because you are made of stardust, absolutely moves you, right? And so I do wonder about stuff like that when I come into a space and I'm immediately comfortable. I'm like, oh, what has been here that made me feel this way, right? And I don't know about other people, but like I definitely get that when I walk into a space and I'm like, oh, this ain't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Walked in here and was like, right. So, there are different elements around, from the art to the way the bathroom is intentionally made to make you feel like you're allowed to be here. You are welcome here. We want you here. And then just talking to people in this space feels natural. I think that's really awesome. A place where I don't have to, think about what codes I'm going to use.
Yes. I love that. Yes. So hearing that, what inspired you? And do you have someone that you worked with alongside to create Emerald City?
Yep. So, Samantha Black is my co-founder. So together, it began with Greenwood Week, the conference, and then the conference grew into Greenwood Plan, so we could do this year-round programming for Black businesses. And we realized that we needed a physical space to be able to bring people something that folks could readily identify when they thought about the work we did, and that led to Emerald City.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the Greenwood Plan?
Yeah.
And how that. You said that it got started from the Greenwood Project? No,
Greenwood Week. Yep. So Greenwood Week was literally a week-long conference that we put together, classes, seminars, workshops, networking for Black entrepreneurs and creatives to be able to be in community together, but also to learn together from people who looked like them, people they could relate to, right? A lot of the times you go to business conferences and they're very pretentious. They speak over your head quite a bit, and everybody's lying. Flat out. Everybody is making millions and billions and trillions of dollars. But what Greenwood Week did was be very honest and very vulnerable. And it allowed for all of our attendees to also be honest and vulnerable. And what that showed us is that people needed a lot of support. And that led to us creating the nonprofit so that we could continuously provide that type of support and listen to people about what it is that they were struggling with in entrepreneurship and with their creativity, like making a living off of their art. Like, why is that impossible for you?
I love that.
And that's where Greenwood Plan, the nonprofit, started. Everything evolved, right? Okay. It all started with a conversation, which led to the conference, which led to the nonprofit, which led to the physical space. It started with Emerald City, just the co-working space, right? This is a place where you can work, have events. And
I'm so excited for the lead up to this. I'm sorry, I'm just like buzzing right now. Like, wait.
Yeah.
What happened next is very organic, and it was kind of like the person who owned the building was kind of like, "Hey, if you all know more people who need space, I have all these other vacancies. You know, tell your friends to contact me." And I was like, "We're gonna fill up the building.
Right.
Why would we not just own the building?" So we bought the building, and the building spans from the Boulevard of the Allies to 3rd Avenue, so corner to corner, and it's 3 floors up. So all of the storefronts on the ground floor, the 2nd floor, which is Emerald City, and the 3rd floor, which is slotted to be like premier event space.
Oh. Yeah. And what's the timeline of this? Like, when did you first start this?
Okay.
Like now seeing.
We first started, so the first official Greenwood Week was 2019. So October of 2019 was the first conference. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And we did all virtual. We kept it going. And then in 2021, we did hybrid just to be in consideration of people's like fears and concerns around COVID. And then 22, we came back. What year is this? 24. So 22 and 23 were both here at Emerald City. So again, this is where we get to the point where people can just readily identify a space with the work. Like they know Greenwood Week is going to be here. When they think about the conference, they can think about this space. But in the meantime, let me see how this happened. First conference was 2019. 2021, April 2021, we were invited here to be members of the previous space. And we started inviting our friends and being like, hey, we got an office here. You should get one too. Started making coffee, kind of taking ownership of the space very naturally. And by November of 2021, we signed a lease and changed the name to Emerald City of the co-working space. And then by February of 22, so 3 months later, we were talking to the owner about how much would it take for you to entertain a conversation about us buying this building. And then from February of 22 until December of 23, we worked on the deal, getting the price right, getting the funding, getting the support, learning the ins and outs of this building. And that's kind of the timeline, which feels like a long time, but in the grand scheme, it's really not a lot of time at all. So just to take it back a little further, I started Cocopreneur in 2015. Mm-hmm. And that was really the beginning of all the advocacy, like the serious advocacy around business, Black business, and what Black businesses need to be okay. Mm-hmm. And then by 2018, I think Sam and I met and started to like join forces, and then it just amplified everything.
And how did we get Emerald City?
Emerald City was just a brainstorming session. I believe it was me, Sam, and another employee who was with us, Brandy Taylor. And we sat in that boardroom over there and we just kind of threw stuff at the wall. And somehow we looked at the green walls and kind of were like, you know, it just came out, Emerald City. And it was like, oh, like Yellow Brick Road, The Wiz. And it was like, yeah, you know, Emerald City is like where dreams come to fester and grow, you know. So Emerald City just started to click and make all the sense in the world. And it continues to make more sense every day as we think about what it is we do here. It's a magical place. It really is a magical place. But that's where Emerald City came from. Just a brainstorming session and everybody being like, it was like, all right, great, let's do it.
Okay, and so a large part of the Creative Hive is bringing creatives, artists, people interested in Pittsburgh arts scene together, mm-hmm. Making sure that they have places to go that are either made, designed for them, or including them. And so, as being someone, this is your first time here, but you said you've heard about it before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you, to the fact that we're hosting a space somewhere that you've heard about before, but now you actually get the opportunity to step foot in and then also introduce that space to other people?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's also exciting to be able to say, and in addition to having Emerald City be where we're doing this, you're doing it in a space where Black women have made this a home, the entire building, right? Mm-hmm. And when I talk to other people about what some of the plans are, just, you know, from reading what I know is coming, that excitement grows among other people too. Because I think that the narrative about what Pittsburgh is like for Black women has really become a drag for those of us who made a decision to stay, right? And I think like the discussion about whether you stay, I love an author named Damon Young, and he says sometimes like that discussion is like whether you're going to have chicken or fish for dinner. Like I mean, we talk about it all the time, partially because we have to, but I think that discussion can kind of get in the way of recognizing what's here. And so I get really, I get a little tired too of hearing about the study, and how things like that go. And so, this is an opportunity to say we also survive and thrive here. Many Black women do and have done for a long time, right? Like, so I'm hoping that that'll be an opportunity to introduce other people who are both new and established artists in Pittsburgh.
Can you talk some about your artistry and instead of deciding to stay here, what you've done with your time in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, sure. So I am a writer, and mostly what I write is essays and some poetry. I joke sometimes and say, if I'm doing fiction, it's like swimming in the deep end. Like, make sure somebody's around and get me out if things go left. In terms of how Pittsburgh plays into that, I think there's a moment for a lot of people where if you are not originally from here, you start to ask yourself, but am I a Pittsburgher? Right? Like, at what point do I,
Yeah,
and I think
you become a Pittsburgher.
Yeah, right.
But also the people who tell you damn sure not a Pittsburgher.
You're right.
Over and over again, they'll try to remind you.
Right. And it goes, I mean, I even, I've raised children here, and even my children will say, oh, my mother's not from here. Like you can hear it in her voice, the way she That's says funny. Father, if she's not, if I'm not doing that code thing, right? And so I think a lot of my artistry is built around what it means to create a home, what it means to do that. Maybe that's why hearing the name Emerald City had a special place in my heart, and knowing that there are certain things culturally that when you speak them for Black folks, they mean something immediately, right? That it was like, oh, that place is about facing down challenges, and it's also about making sure that we know we got each other, that there are certain things that are transient, no matter what city you're in.
Yeah.
So, that's sort of where my art comes from. History is definitely the place where I turn to if I feel like I'm getting stuck. So that's why Greenwood has always meant a lot to me, also as an entrepreneur, in that it was like somebody gets it. Somebody can say, we have been through a lot historically as business owners in this country. We have overcome so much, that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. And to honor that and name it the way that y'all did just really is a beautiful thing. I think there's art around every corner, especially if you are surviving and thriving again as a Black person in this city. But ultimately, for me, it's always been about what does it mean to make a place a home.
I feel like a part of the Creative Hive, it being designed by a Black woman, a Black queer woman, Clara Ken. She really, really wanted to focus this on Black and brown creatives and making sure that we can enter spaces that we may not have had the opportunities to go, we may not even know about. And I feel like, in a sense, that is creating a home. Like, that is creating spaces for creatives to show up and to do that work. And so, like, to go with like creating a home, why is it so important for us to invest in our arts and to hold space for artists and to make sure that creatives have these opportunities?
I think talking about home is important, right? Having home base is really important to just your sense of well-being, right? Just overall. Otherwise, you're kind of a nomad. And some people are okay with being nomads. But generally speaking, you tend to have a stronger sense of self and identity when you have a place to call home. when you know what it is that you're calling back to, when you know why you do the things that you do, right? Like you can recall where these things came from, you tend to have a stronger sense of self. And I think that's important for Black folk in particular, especially if you are from a lineage where you can't recall home.
This is about love.
Right.
I say that in my classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
it really is.
I do this because I love you.
Right.
Action, verb, love.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Is so important because, 50 years from now, somebody's going to be sitting here and saying, they tell us that there were no Black women who did this before, but I seen this interview one time. Okay.
Y'all better not let this last for only 50 years. It better be forever.
Okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Amanda Bay. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the general manager of Emerald City Pittsburgh. So I help manage the space, bring up programming, bringing different classes to Emerald City, as well as making sure that our members feel supported in getting space here, as well as we do event rentals, so making sure that events go as planned and making sure that Emerald City is doing their part in the community as well. Like, this feels like home. This is where I want to be every day. If I'm thinking about working, if I'm thinking about building or growing with a company, it was Emerald City. Emerald City is trying to create a safe space for Black and brown people overall, but our main priority is Black and brown people, whether that is office space, event space, or just a space to come and have a conversation about hard topics.
Can you tell us about the impact that Emerald City holds for creatives?
Yes. So as soon as you walk in, you can see that we have art on the walls. So we partner up with different galleries as well as art, I want to say incubators. I know that we're now partnered with Boom Concepts. So they came in and curated all the art that we have in here, as well as we try to make sure that we go into the community, see who is offering services, like making things in the community. We try to, especially if you like make tables or anything, like we're trying to become unique in Emerald City. So we know that that comes with going to different artists, getting those unique pieces and displaying them, as well as bringing awareness to, because Pittsburgh has so many dope artists, and I feel like it's like, unless you know that person, you don't know them, or unless you have seen something that they made or created, you don't have any knowledge of them. So I think that Emerald City provides that awareness, and we try to inform everyone that walks through here, like, go around, look at the art, and get a view of it, as well as I know that Greenwood Plan, they host a lot of artist meetups and getting the word out about different artists, as well as just creating safe space for artists. Emerald City and the Creative Hive, we kind of reflect both on our mission. We're bringing safe space and just comfortable space to people within the community, whether you're Black, brown, or of any nationality, but focusing on Black and brown. But we feel like a lot of Black and brown artists, they just sometimes, it's like, is it a real job? Or go, focus on a 9 to 5 or work for somebody else, and that's just a hobby. But that is not. We're all creative in our own ways. So I feel like we reflect each other's mission, and the Creative Hive focuses more on artists, and we're trying to tap into that as well, because like I said, we're all creatives. You see Miss June stuff is displayed everywhere, and it's just beautiful to see that we're able to like tap into that and express ourselves through art. So that's one of our main goals, is just to make this accessible for everyone.
Can you tell us about the programs and events that you host here?
Okay, so Emerald City hosts 2 social events a month. The first one is a social hour that is from 5 to 8. That's more of a relaxed setting. BYOB, we play Black games. We sit there and have conversations. Like the last one that we had, people start talking about like entrepreneurship, and then just talking about how sometimes it is hard to access those resources, because if you don't have a relationship with some people, they kind of keep that pot within their community or in their circle. So sometimes it is hard to get those resources. And now it's like, well, what do you do? So we just get into different conversations, and this is always a safe space. Even if you don't agree, we all respect each other's boundaries. So it's like a game night / like you just come, vent, this is like after hours, you left work, you done had your long week, or all of that, and you're just here just trying to enjoy. So that's our social hour. And then we also also host a co-working day. So that's where you can come down and work in a space for free that day from 9 a.m. to 4. And we usually have a sponsor for that. So the sponsors will come down and talk about their programming, what they can offer the community, as well as our members and everything. We do encourage our members to come and just talk about their experiences at Emerald City. And I think a lot of people, when I first started, they will always say this is like a family reunion. Like, you never know who you're going to see down here, what connection you're going to have. And that's what Emerald City is really all about. Like, we're all here trying to make a connection to then progress our career, progress our baby of a business and everything. So those are the two monthly events that we host. And then we're also trying to tap into donation-based classes, as well as donation-based like yoga classes and stuff like that, tax classes, just trying to bring different experiences to the community, as well as we're trying to partner up with youth programs. We need to develop this now just to create, I feel like when it starts young, it definitely does start young to have these experiences. And I'm like, we shouldn't just limit those experiences to one neighborhood or one specific group. It should be everybody that has these experiences. So we're trying to tap into a lot of things.
So my next question, why is it important that Emerald City is Black owned and in the location that it's in?
I think the importance is not only just because it's Black owned and woman owned.
Period.
The importance is that whenever you are growing up in Pittsburgh, a lot of your careers are limited, and they tell you like, oh, you could be this, but like not too much. Especially in the city of Pittsburgh, especially to girls and women, it's like, they kind of put that cap on you that you should just be with your children and you should be a partner and supporter, but it's like, who's giving you that support? So I just feel like here we all support each other. We all are trying to make a difference, and I feel like Camille and Samantha, they definitely like pushed that ceiling and made it higher and higher. And just the importance that we now have a space downtown, we have a space. Like when I tell people that or try to explain to them about Emerald City and just like all of the new history that they're all making here, they're just like flabbergasted and just in awe, because it's like, who would have just thought, downtown was like the epitome of everything. Like, it's central to everything. It doesn't have what we have in here at Emerald City. There's not that anywhere downtown. Like, just a co-working space this nice. We are open 24/7. Members have access. We offer so many amenities. So I just feel like there's just so many great things happening. Not only did they acquire the whole building, which Emerald City is housed, but it's also all the storefronts. It's also a few storefronts on the side, and just to see the development of what they're trying to bring down here. Downtown does not have that. So when you're thinking about why downtown is no longer you can work, eat, and play, Greenwood Plan is trying to provide that. They're trying to provide a space where you can bring your children in a daycare. They're trying to provide spaces where you can get a quick bite to eat, or more of a 5-star dining downstairs where you can go and take your family for celebrations. And then, so I just feel like this just is so important, because this is what downtown and Pittsburgh is lacking. So
the same way that they're lacking creative space.
Exactly.
And that is why the collaboration.
It's just it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, it's definitely the reflection. I think that whenever this was presented to us, our previous general manager was in a position, and as soon as he sat down and we had a meeting about it, he was like, I want to jump on this. Like, this is something that we have to do, because like I said, we all have some creativeness to us. So when you have a space to be able to do that, it's always rewarding. Like, it's always something great that comes out of it.
Yes.